Will this series be the king of Netflix? Will it rise above all other anime live action adaptations?
We say yes, and here's why. So this video is going to be split up into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be a spoiler-free discussion. Part 2 is going to be a spoiler discussion. And Part 3 will be a discussion on the event itself, which was so much fun. Netflix put their whole you-know-what into it, and there was even a freaking drone show at the end. I never seen nothing like that in my life.
Insane.
All right. Spoiler-free thoughts. Megan, what did you think of this episode?
I mean, if this is the start, I cannot even fathom what is to come in this first season. It was everything, down to the pacing, down to the acting, down to the sets. I mean, we talked about this before when we talked about going to see a scene at AX for the One Piece live action, and we were even excited then. But seeing a full hour episode, seeing the bonds between the characters, feeling it, and seeing them come to life, it was absolutely incredible, magical. It was everything I could have ever wanted. It really was. And Yaki was one of the highlights. I mean, he is Luffy. Like, he is Luffy. And
Oda said it himself.
We were, kind of anticipating how he was going to be, and how that was going to translate into a live action. Just his character, you could either take it one way or another. But it was a perfect symphony of both goofy and strategic and smart and piratey. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Iñaki is the heart of the show, and they could have leaned so much more on that gimmick of him sort of just like rushing into situations without a plan, which they do,
which he does,
and he does, which Luffy does, but it's done so well and in a almost like subtle-ish way that doesn't feel like it's like ever forced or like untrue of Luffy's character. Like, it works so well. We saw so many lines in the trailer, and trailers are cut together a certain way. And seeing those same lines in the context of the show, they work. I didn't feel at any point throughout the first episode that any of the humor was egregious.
No.
Or corny.
No.
I felt like it was very organic, very natural. And Iñaki, another thing that he really brings to the table is inspiration, dude. Like, he is inspiring. The way he talks to specifically Kobe in a certain moment in the first episode really made me feel inspired by his charisma and his just like his hopeful optimism about just following your dreams regardless of what people might say. And that's the heart of the manga, the heart of the anime too. But to capture that was going to be a feat, and Iñaki crushed it. Like, absolutely crushed it. And everybody crushed it. I mean, Emily Rudd as Nami crushed it. McKenyu crushed it as Zoro. But I want to also say that there were a lot of other standouts in this first episode for me. 2 being Alvida and Helmeppo. We'll talk more about specific scenes and moments with them. But as far as like actors and their performance, they brought these characters to life, and I think made it their own while staying true to the source material.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this first episode and what we're going to be seeing throughout the season. It's never a forced gimmick with these characters. You really truly believe these are who they are, especially with Alvida, especially with Helmeppo. Helmeppo is a brat, and he was able to do that without being egregious like in the manga, in the anime, where like you still wanted to slap him, but it wasn't like, this short little man that you're like, what even is that? Yeah. Like, but it and there's so many payoffs too, small little details, and we'll talk about it more in the spoiler, but Alvida too. I mean, you had talked about it briefly before we started recording, and she is just like a standout. I believe wholeheartedly, like, she is a very mean woman, very mean pirate. I mean, she sold it. She sold it.
Yeah. She brought so much dimension to this character for the brief time that we do see her. And I on the subject of brief time that we spend with characters, I do want to talk about the pacing. I have so many thoughts. I've tried my absolute best to compile them all. But in terms of pacing, like Mehgan mentioned, a lot of people were concerned because of the amount of chapters that were going to be adapted.
Yes.
And how things were going to be rearranged, which they are, but they're also rearranged in a way that feels very natural. The episode moved. It did move. We're cutting from location to location. We're cutting from past to present, which is another thing we'll talk about. But it never felt like it was too much to keep up with.
Yes.
It ever took me out of the story. It was hard to follow. It was jarring. Not at all.
No.
Not ever, not once. And it slowed down when it needed to give moments to characters, to give a beautiful moment to Luffy and Kobe,
Yes.
To give beautiful moments to Zoro and Nami. It slowed down when it needed to, but it did move. I didn't feel like it was too much, too fast at all. And if this is any indication of the overall pacing of the first season, then I don't think we have anything to worry about, because it's live action. It's made to appeal to a broader audience. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Like,
Yes.
will the broader audience, people who have never seen anything One Piece, will they enjoy this? Will they get this? Will they like this? What do you think?
That's what I liked. Again, it in the first episode, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but there's, things that are changed, like you said. And I think that those changes are making both One Piece fans happy and the general public happy. I don't know how they were able to do that, because it is magic. The way they fit it into the first episode, the way they, you mesh all of these chapters together and have a trio essentially formed at the end of episode 1 is just absolutely insane, because you think about all these moments that they cut out, but as you're watching it, it doesn't even matter.
As you're watching it, it doesn't feel like anything was cut out.
No. And that is an ode to the acting, the chemistry between the characters, and honestly, seeing these characters on screen, already as a One Piece fan, I'm just jazzed as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm already excited to see them interact and have those moments. So for someone to be, not know anything about these characters, I think it shows. I think they could feel it too, of like, oh wow, this is exciting. Here's the team. We've had that similar feeling with other shows, and I think that it's done so perfectly.
I think about it like, will my dad like this? Will my brothers who have never watched One Piece, will they like this?
Mm-hmm.
How will they respond to it? So I was trying to watch it through that lens too. And I think absolutely, they don't spend time. They set up the world very, very briefly, very quickly in the beginning of the episode, and set up that sort of like inciting incident, that one event that sort of changes everything.
Yes.
And then after that, they don't really spend much time expositing anything. They have some really cool effects that they use to introduce characters. But outside of that, we were talking again before we started recording about the transponder snails, the Den Den Mushies.
Yes.
And they don't really explain that. They One Piece is a world that is rich, right? And the live action does such a good job of showing how rich that world is, like not just through set designs, not just through like characters and relationships, but also through dialogue. Like there's so many mentions of like other characters and other relationships that other characters have with each other, and it just makes the world feel extremely lived in. So I think that, not spending time expositing and explaining all of these things is going to create intrigue and make people want to know more about these characters, this world. But I also think that, in terms of like, again, my dad watching it or my brother watching it, I think there's enough action. There's enough comedy, even though it's not comedy like driven or comedy heavy, like it's there and it works so well. And I think a perfect representation of that in how things are adapted is with the Luffy barrel scene, which we'll talk more about that too.
That's the one in particular that I went, okay.
Yeah.
That once like I was watching and that change happened, I went, okay.
Yeah.
Like I was rubbing my hands together watching that screen like, okay.
Yeah.
Because again, those small little changes just add to the live action, the more realistic approach they're going for. But at the same time, we still have we have the transponder snails, we have the devil fruits, we have a clown. I mean, there's so many things that watching this as a first time watcher, not knowing anything, it is so intriguing. And especially someone like me who likes like a magical element, or just something completely out there, I would be completely like hooked in.
Yeah. It's really exciting, and we said this before, but like the piratey feel to this show is everywhere too. And the reason I preface it like that is because like I know One Piece is a pirate anime and manga, but somehow like live action almost lends itself more to showing that, to like allowing you to feel that, right? And it works. The literal only thing that I think new viewers who've never seen or watched One Piece will have maybe a hard time getting used to, but I do think that it's important, and I commend, and I'm so glad that the team stuck to their guns on this. And I personally, as an anime manga fan, as a One Piece fan, love it. But I'm just trying to look at things through the lens of someone who's never seen it. Is the bright hair colors of certain characters? I think the wardrobes look amazing, the set designs look amazing, but like having like background characters all have like more realistic hair colors, and then having like certain characters just have bright blue hair or bright red hair, right? I love that. I think it works. I think it looks great. I'm just trying to view it through the lens of somebody who is not really even an anime fan.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I think that because they are setting up those magical elements, like eating a fruit and turning into rubber as a young child, like the Den Mushis, I think that it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that people will just accept it because there's these other crazier things in this world, and they're going to see the crazier things like the sea beast that we see in the trailer. The audience, the general audience, is going to see these things and just accept it. If you like fantasy, magical, I know that's not all One Piece is, but if they see it like that, then I think it'll be just water over the bridge. I don't even think they'll think about Nami having orange hairs or having green hair, right. Because there's just crazier stuff in One Piece that is to come, like the abilities, like the devil fruit abilities. I mean, I cannot wait.
They do such a great job of setting the tone. And like you mentioned too, the chemistry between the characters is absolutely phenomenal. The way that they're all played is very. I enjoyed the subtlety and the nods to the fans.
Oh yes,
in these small details of each character's personality. Like there's a moment with Zoro where he just kind of does something, and it's so cool. There's a moment with Nami where she does something, and it's so cool. And
definition of the spoiler free. They do something, and it's
cool. I mean spoiler free. Stay to the next part.
Yeah, they do these things again that feel just so natural to the character. That is them. Helmeppo, Alvida, Zoro, Nami, Luffy, Kobe, Garp. They just do anything, and you just like, oh yeah, that's them. It doesn't feel unnatural. It feels completely real, and that is so exciting.
And they did not sacrifice. They did not compromise. They did not budge.
No.
When it came to, I mean, okay, every frame, every moment is littered with so many Easter eggs, so many details. But I mean, down to the crazy hairstyles and wardrobes and outfits. I mean, they fully committed to everything, but that serves this world so well and allows them to really set the tone for this entire wacky, crazy, amazing world that Oda has created. I mean, it is beautiful. The cinematography is beautiful. The people again had things to say about this sort of like yellowish filter that they felt like was applied during a lot of the shots in the trailer, but it is such a like beautifully colored, beautifully designed, I mean beautifully produced, I mean show. I didn't really see any of that. I mean the sets even themselves I felt like were massive. There's a scene that takes place in an office, and it just looks massive. Even the exterior shots of all the buildings I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible how much they stuck to the source material. And I think that is going to be the lesson that a lot of people are going to learn when this comes out. I promise you, as a hardcore One Piece fan, and as a fan of so many other things, right? There's nothing like this. There is nothing quite like this. And I think that everybody who gets the chance to see it when they see it is going to be blown away. Fans and newcomers alike, this is a game changer.
Yeah.
This is a game changer.
We definitely have a lot of bias because we are long-term, hardcore fans. But even trying to look at it from a different point of view, like a person just going into this completely blind. I mean, the first episode just gets you so hype. I mean, we've only seen the first one, and I'm like, okay, when are we getting the rest of the season?
And
because it's absolutely stunning, and it lures you in. The end of the first episode, it catches you in a barrel, and it puts you out to sea.
I was in the sea.
I'm swishing around in there.
Swishing around.
I'm hit with Alvida's club. I don't know. I'm just doing references, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the way that everything is woven together, because again, we're cutting in the first episode, we're cutting past, present, location, everywhere, but it all kind of flows so naturally, leading up to the end, which flows so perfectly into the next episode. And again, the overall pacing of it, I think, is perfection. I honestly, we've gone through so many emotions when it's come to this live action. We've been so excited, mostly so excited. And there have been things here and there, small things that we have had maybe nitpicks or critiques about, but seeing them in the context of the episode, and Shanks is one of those characters, right? I personally, just from one still image alone, was a little on the fence about this actor and his portrayal of Shanks. However, all doubt was thrown out the freaking window when I saw this man on screen.
Yeah, he plays the perfect amount of just that I know I can wreck your whole life right now, but I'm choosing not to.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of just kind of going with the flow. I'm just kind of a lazy, just kind of just doing my own thing, laughing it up with my crewmates. And there's a certain scene in particular that we'll talk about that's in the first episode in the more spoiler territory. But I mean, that's when I was sold. That's when I was sold, and he plays it so well, and you can just feel. And again, first time watchers, they won't necessarily know just how crazy of a character he is at first, but seeing it through One Piece eyes, it was like, wow. He is that uncle
that guy.
He's that uncle.
Yeah, I also
uncle vibe.
Uncle vibe, Zaddy vibe.
Is that? Oh yeah,
I got major Zaddy vibe.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about the CG here too, the visual effects. Especially, I mean, there's so many scenes that we've seen from trailers, right? The Shellstown Zoro scene, with kind of the three of them fighting together. We've seen a little bit of the Alvida stuff here and there, with the Gum pistol, I believe it was, in the very first trailer.
And the Gum whip too.
Right, that was in Shellstown. But we get to see all of it in this first episode, and again, to me, it looked perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It really did.
I mean, it made me kind of question. I mean, I get why they used the Gum pistol shot for the trailer. But there were so many other things that just looked like number one, incredible. Number two, I can't believe they fully committed that way. There are so many moments with Luffy jumping around, all of which I think look as good as I've ever seen, if not better than any Reed Richards every other who else is Rubber? I can't think of anybody else right now, but any other time we've ever seen any stretchy person in live action, this puts them all to shame. And I don't mean to say shame, times have changed, technologies have advanced, visual effects artists are freaking goated, dude, and deserve all the respect in the world. But I'm just saying, these are that good. and they know when to utilize it, and they know how to utilize it to make it look more real.
Yes. And it's not overused in the first episode.
And it's not overused.
That's what, there's certain points in time where he does use it, but it's not all the time. He's not fighting all the time, stretching the whole, it's in very key moments, and it makes you jump, every time you see it on screen, because it's so spread out. It's not every other 2 minutes.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah. I really don't know what else to say. It's hard to speak spoiler free, but I just want to say that as two One Piece fans, for me personally, I had almost no issue at all with anything in the first episode. I know that might be a bold stance, and I'm sure there will be other people who have small issues with things here or there, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. They do rearrange things. It does move a lot, but I think it serves, and this is all that matters, right? It serves the source material. It respects the source material. It commits to things that so many other live action adaptations would not commit to, in terms of hair colors and wardrobes and creatures. It doesn't feel the need to explain every little teeny tiny thing to you. And it lets the characters be themselves. It lets the important moments breathe. It doesn't feel too in your face, too corny. The jokes don't seem like, oh, we got to get a certain amount of LPMs, laughs per minute. It all feels so incredibly well paced and put together. And the chemistry between the three Straw Hats that we meet this episode, phenomenal. We've known that from interviews. But I also want to say that there are some standout visual effects, graphics, like I said, ways that they introduce characters, but also some of those characters, specifically Alvida and Helmeppo, really stole kind of the show for me and exceeded all of my expectations on every level. This first episode was everything that I could have hoped for, if not more.
Exactly my thoughts. I mean, the reason why One Piece, in for me and you, that the side characters or the characters that come and go are some of the most impactful of the whole story. So the fact that they were able to nail the side characters in the first episode is incredible, and you feel that impact between these two characters that we probably won't see again for a long time, and Kobe being one of them. I mean, it was just spot on. It felt like I was reading it again, of oh yeah, I remember that character
so many times throughout. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really couldn't. It has heart. It has what it needs to have. And Yaki is, like we've said in the beginning, to bring it full circle, Luffy. He is Luffy. And even in moments where he does exactly what he does in the manga, like asking the first person he sees to join his crew, the first fighter he sees to join his crew, the first cartographer to join his crew, in those moments, I believe it. I see it. I feel it. It's infectious. His energy, his charisma, his joy. He's not, he can do a lot of things that might seem dumb, right, to a lot of people. Like barging in to a marine base, a heavily guarded marine base, might seem kind of dumb, not too smart. But it's not done in a way to make him look dumb.
No.
It's done in a way to make him look carefree. I don't care.
He's ready for anything. Yeah. And having Kobe to be there, and the other Straw Hats too, to be that straight man to his craziness. His wild card. Which it just makes it so much fun to watch. And you're always wondering what he's going to be doing next and how he's going to do it. And that's a joy for sure to watch. Yeah, he was spectacular. I mean, I just can't wait for the rest of the journey. I
mean, we're going to be reacting to every single episode. We're going to be rewatching the first episode as well. Because I will say, in terms of soundtrack, the reason that, I mean, they've released the soundtrack on YouTube, and I think it's been released on Spotify and other audio platforms. But how we were watching it, it was on a projector outdoors. the sound was okay, but
I would say
it was really hard to hear the soundtrack.
I would say, yeah, the dialogue I could hear. And the soundtrack, there was bits I could hear, but yeah, I would love to hear it again. And then hear all of those iconic songs. There's one in particular
There's
that I was
one
like,
in
yes.
particular.
Yes.
Oh my God. When we heard it in the background, we lost our minds. And I think that was a part of the experience too, getting to see it with so many other One Piece fans. I mean, it was unreal.
It's like, how can you not be hyped? But believe us, that wasn't just because of that. It wasn't just because of that. Because it was everything I could have hoped for, to be honest. This
is a series that I believe is going to please longtime, hardcore anime and manga fans, and also be something that those fans can finally show their family and their friends who never watched it, who never wanted to watch it. I was talking to somebody at the event, and I was like, you know how sick it's going to be to talk to somebody about One Piece and they actually care. You know, like not like, you know, fans.
Not
but like
that we don't.
Someone at a family barbecue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're going to actually be invested because they've maybe seen the live action. Like that's crazy.
And it's so amazing that you could be talking about Luffy, right? As a character. They only watch the One Piece live action. You've read the manga, watched the anime, and you guys are you guys are talking about the same person.
Yeah.
If you like Luffy in the live action, you're going to like Luffy in the anime. You're talking about the same guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was funny when Luffy did that. Oh, yeah, because it's not like they're so vastly different where it's like, well, my Luffy's different. You know, my Luffy's different in the anime. My Nami's different in the manga. My Nami's different. You know, my Zoro's different. Like, you're going to be, it's like, it's just like, it transcends like the mediums and it just combines them, and the characters are one and the same, which is even more fun to talk about with friends and family who didn't read thousands of chapters.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I think everybody who gets to see this is going to fall in love. We only saw the first episode. We cannot wait to see the other 7 for a total of 8. Like I said, we're going to be watching those with everybody else, and we're going to be reacting to those. So consider subscribing to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. That helps out a lot. And we'll have the full uncut, uncensored, unedited versions on our Patreon for people who want to watch it that way with us, which also helps out a lot. Links to all that will be in the description below. But are we good on spoiler-free?
Yes.
Thoughts? Well, let's get into some spoiler talk. What do you want to talk about first? I don't know. There's so much.
We could talk about. Gosh, I mean, we could talk about since we talked. You know, we really loved Alvida's performance. Okay. We could start there. And Kobe's intertwined with that.
Yeah.
And that goes into the barrel scene, like we talked about. So yeah, the barrel scene, the iconic barrel scene that everyone knows. Luffy jumping out the barrel. You know, meeting Kobe. And in the anime and manga, he, you know, jumps out with such glee and screams, you know, like, I'm Luffy, or, you know, yeah, and just so much excitement. And in the live action, it again plays to the humor of the show. Kobe is down there in Alvida's ship, and Luffy just kind of gets out of the barrel, and then Kobe starts to like kind of freak out, and then Luffy just looks at him and just goes, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. Like, so casual, so funny, but so not out of character for Luffy.
Yeah, it didn't feel weird.
No, it really didn't. Yeah.
And you reminded me, too, the reason that Kobe is down there is because he's cleaning the gunk of another man's skull out of one of Alvida's, like, clubs or weapons.
And they showed that.
And they you know, they do some cutaways, right, where they don't show, you know, all of everything, because that would be, I mean, it would be crazy.
Very gruesome.
But they do show a lot. Like, they show Zoro slicing a man in half, Alvida, like, you know,
bashing someone's brains in, and there being a puddle of blood, you know, on the floor. Like, they're not shying away from the blood thing at all. Yeah. And Kobe's cleaning it, and they have that interaction. Kobe, again, chef's kiss, perfect casting. And I loved seeing the dynamic between Kobe and Luffy too. Yeah.
And now, you know, we could talk more about, and you know, I do apologize if I get her name wrong. Her name is, I believe, the actress that played Alvida is Iya. Isorels, Paulino. She fucking crushed it, dude. So Alvida, we all know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just still hanging out in the spoiler section. But Alvida, we know who she is in the manga and the anime. She's loud. She's got, she brings the bravado. She needs the approval of everybody else to tell her how beautiful she is and how wonderful she is.
She has a big club. She hits Mask. She
hits people with that big club. Iya, if I'm saying her name right, she brings all of that, right? There's moments where she has that bravado. She's loud. But in the moments that she's talking to Kobe, dude, in front of everybody, in front of even Luffy, gave me chills. It's this very subtle switch up that she does. Maybe not so subtle, but she switches from that loud, commanding voice to a more like quieter, calmer, colder voice. And the way she delivers these lines, they freaking cut through me, dude. They cut. It was like she was talking to him, true to the character, like he was absolutely nothing. And she had this way about how she delivered the lines and how she looked at him that was genuinely more terrifying than if she would have been yelling at him or screaming at him or said, like, how dare you betray me? She was literally looking at him like, Kobe, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah. I can't even do it. But
no, honestly, it was chilling. It was chilling. I truly believed every moment between her and Kobe. Like she believed that Kobe was hers. Like,
yeah, and even if he was ever going to try, which he never would, but that it wouldn't be an issue, try to betray her. No. She doesn't think anything of him.
No.
Yeah.
No. And again, it just, the nuances of that character were just like on full display because of the wonderful performance she gave.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
She really took that character to the next freaking level, dude.
Yeah.
And I've heard, people online, say like, or wondering, if they do adapt certain things, will they recast Alvida? They would be crazy to do. First of all, I don't think they would ever do that. But they would be crazy too. I hope they never do, because this actress is Alvida. She is giving the best performance I could have ever imagined and exceeding the expectations of how I thought that character would be portrayed in live action. Like, she is absolutely amazing, and I need to see her a million more times, dude. I would love to see her pop up in the series again, because man, that was one of the standout moments to me, a highlight moment for me. But to take it back a little bit, let's talk about how it opens even. So it opens, you get a shot of all these maps all talking about the seas, the different seas, and the Grand Line.
Yes, and the transitions between that shot and the real world, because the map is just like a map, and then it goes in, and then the ships like come alive, and it was just magical. Like, I could see sparkles in the sky. It was incredible. And obviously we see the execution of Raj.
Yes.
Raji.
Goldie Roger.
And we see Garpy.
We see a lot of people. Okay, we're in spoiler territory. Get ready, dude, because the whole crowd gasped when we saw some of the characters in the crowd. Obviously, we've seen Dragon in the background. We've seen some other people in the background, but I didn't really catch this because there was so much going on. But other people said that they saw Smoker. Which I don't even know how I missed,
young
dude.
Smoker.
A young Smoker.
Young
which I was
Shanks,
like,
obviously. Shanks. I think young Buggy somewhere in the crowd, too.
Prime real estate, center of the frame, we got young Mihawk.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
He looked so good.
Everybody was like, oh my God.
No, literally one of the first people shown in the crowd. I was like, everyone was gagunked.
I'm sure the detectives, the internet sleuths will find like more people there.
Oh yeah,
but
100%. There was just so much going on.
There was a lot.
And we get to see a younger Garp. And we have a Scottish Garp. Okay, first of all,
that was great.
We have a Scottish Garp.
I was really worried you were gonna flub it, but
mess it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love it. I love it.
It makes so much sense to me for his character. I mean, it just works. It works. We saw him in Roger delivering that speech. That's going to change everything. Yeah. But you see the horror. It makes so many scenes from the trailer make sense. And in hindsight, maybe I should have put it together. But seeing it all chronologically, the horror, because what Roger is telling Garp he's about to do.
Yeah, and does.
And when he does it, and how the whole crowd responds, the horror in Garp's eyes is like, oh my God, this was a mistake. What have you done? Like, not a mistake. Yeah, not a mistake to execute Roger, but to do it publicly in this way, like, what has happened?
I cannot undo what just happened.
It's like the ringing in Garp's ears, you know, and he's like, blood's coming out of his
ears. I cannot undo what has been done. And the horror of the execution in general. I mean,
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Shanks, all these people are watching him fall, and it was pretty emotional. And even him talking with Roger, his little like Roger's little comebacks to Garp, whatever he's saying, is so funny and so Roger.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he was just in it for that moment, and then he's gone. But it is powerful.
It's powerful, and you really feel it. And it does that scene does what it needs to do, right? Sets the stage for why there is a pirate era. But we talked to some other people there, and I do understand why the people who we talked to felt this way. But we talked to some people that said that scene, out of everything, felt like it was just so fast. Like in terms of like pacing, like they would have liked to see a little bit more time given to that specific moment. I felt like it did what it needed to do, but I also get what they meant.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot to fit in, though.
Even in the manga and anime, there's been times where we've cut back to that scene in the past, so from different characters' perspectives, right? So maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they'll show it again. Maybe they film some more stuff from that scene. But again, if that was the only thing that was shown, it worked and it was executed well. And I'm happy. I'm content.
Yeah, like I said, it did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
We move on, and that's when we meet Luffy, and we already see him. We don't really get to see him. The first time we see him is in the boat, in the little lifeboat that he's in. It's already got a hole in it. Water's in it.
Yeah, the water starts coming up, and that's when he gets into the barrel, because he's solo right now.
Right.
He's solo dolo.
Yeah.
And then fate.
Yes.
Fate starts rolling.
Yeah, and that's when he shows up to Alvida's ship and all that stuff with Kobe happens.
And that fight was awesome. That was when we got to see Luffy's first fight between him and Alvida. And it was so playful, so fun, so funny. Watching her struggle and watching her not understand what is going on, what's happening. And just so much fun.
The gun, the bullet going like through, like not through him, but like in him and then bouncing back out. The sound effects too were really cool. And him, reaching up, grabbing like different areas of the ship. And of course, the club, when the club came down, it was coming down on Kobe. Luffy runs in front and just uses his head to block the club. And it sort of like goes in and out. Man, chef's kiss. Fantastic fight scene. Well choreographed. Even McKenyu scenes, of course, dude. Well choreographed. All of them. But then that is where Luffy convinces Kobe to stand up to Alvida. They end up leaving together. And this is when I'm talking about the show or the episode felt like it slowed down a bit, because we got to see them talking, Kobe and Luffy. And Luffy is asking Kobe what his dream is. What do you want to do? And this has been built up, over the course of the past couple of scenes. But, Kobe, again, props to the actor, is doing a really good job of like being spending his whole life, getting shit on, that he's it's really hard for him to even express like what he does really want to do. And he's downplaying it. He's minimizing it. And in Yaki as Luffy, this is what this is why I mentioned inspiring when I talked about him being inspiring, is because he kind of gets down in front of Kobe and tells him like, look, man, like whatever you want to do, like just do whatever you want to do. Like, what's your dream? He finally says it and he goes, man, if that's your dream, like, that's cool, man. Like, I want you to do that. Like, why shouldn't you do that? I'm doing it no justice, dude. I'm not in Yaki. But it was a really touching moment, and I'm glad that they spent time between those two characters.
Oh,
right
yeah.
There.
I mean, we with Luffy in particular, that's a highlight of the series. I mean, him literally going into someone's life and changing it forever.
Yeah.
Like, that is what Luffy does.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we're going to keep seeing. And that's with all of the Straw Hats joining his crew. I mean, that's exactly what he does time and time again. So this was like the first moment of that, and seeing him, be just open and kind of like vulnerable, and just hearing Kobe out, whatever he has to say, was just like really touching and heartwarming. And that's where like the heart again came in to the experience, to watching Iñaki give this performance, because it was just like, wow, like that's why you would want to follow this guy. That's why you would want to like strive to be like this person, or to be by their side. Like, he just has that energy. And we get to see it with Mehgan and Zoro and Emily, Nami throughout. And it's just powerful. It's just so powerful.
And how we get to the past and see some of the flashbacks is through dialogue between Luffy and Kobe. Kobe asking Luffy after the incident and the events on the ship with Alvida, him asking like, how did you even get this power? And he kind of goes, well, that's a long story. Or why did you, it happens like kind of twice. And there's a point maybe before where he goes like, why did you decide to be a pirate? And they use these like moments to cut back and kind of explain things. And it cuts back to a young Luffy, and we see the very beginning of him getting the devil fruit, right, from Shanks, stealing it from Shanks essentially. But we don't see all of it. What we really see, and again, this is cutting back and forth throughout, is Luffy stabbing himself, which was crazy. Like to see a young child with a knife, and he goes, look, Shanks, like crazy. And during this scene too, we're getting to see Yasop, of course, who we've seen in some clips. We're getting to see Lucky Roo, Ben Beckman. I mean, and the camaraderie between the red-haired pirates.
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean, when we get to see I think what are the mountain bandits, or when we get to see that, the way, obviously we have a lot more context, being One Piece readers, watchers, we know how powerful this man is. We know how powerful his crew is. So for them to just laugh it off, that him cleaning up a broken bottle, like, is so insane to me. Because Luffy, obviously, the context of the scene, Luffy's so upset as to why that was the scene I knew, like, sold it for Shanks for me. That scene in particular, because he's so pissed off. Why would you just let him walk over you? That's not what pirates do, blah, blah. And Shanks is like, you literally have no idea what I could have done to that man, to those people that just walked in, not just me personally, not even my crew involved. Like, he has, Luffy at this moment has no concept of like them at all. And I think he does, obviously, later on, but I just, that scene alone just gave me, like, really chills, because the context now, it's like,
Yeah, and I think how all of the other red-haired pirates were giving Shanks a bit of shit, honestly. Like, they were saying, they were laughing and saying, like, bro, made you get a mop, dude. Look at you, bro, mopping up glass.
They're not even worried about it.
No, they're laughing, and it's, again, that relationship, that bond that they all have, because they know how powerful their captain is, they know how powerful they are, and they know what, they know who they are, they know what they do.
Exactly. And that was fun to see, it could have been played of them, actually, like, being upset, which in the manga they weren't. They were laughing the same kind of way. But yeah, it was just such a great scene. We see Makino at the bar.
That was really cool. Even though, and I love the actor who plays Shanks so much. In these scenes, we can see the charm, the charisma. He's a little British. He's like Luffy. Well, like what? I'm also that was terrible, and I'm bad, and I apologize. But
you didn't have to apologize.
It was that bad.
You always do that.
It was that bad.
You could have just sold it.
But the way that he said Makino's name, he says it like in the show. He's like, "Thanks, Makino," or something like that. I mean, Mehgan were like,
Makino.
"Oh." But he's awesome. He's so good.
I can't wait to see more in the next. I'm sure in the next episode 2, we'll see more of that flashback. With young Luffy, and young Luffy killing it, by the way.
Oh yeah,
the casting's absolutely perfect. And
but him eating the devil fruit too was crazy, because first of all, like him finding it and how he finds it, where he finds it, with the in this like box.
Separate box from all the other treasures.
Yeah, towards the back of all the other treasure. And just getting that scene of him eating it. Always wanted to see a live action devil fruit be ate.
What's the texture? You know, what's the buoyancy?
It was green. That shit was green.
What's the juicage on that sucker? You know, do they have
canonically
juicage?
they taste like ass.
No, they do taste.
And they look like they taste like ass.
They taste bad, but like, what is the juicage on it? Is it like a mango juice?
Who knows?
A nectarine juice. Like, I need to know. I need to see more.
Yeah.
But the way it looked, it was insane. He eats the whole thing.
Of course, he has to.
He eats the whole thing, by the way, and.
Shanks' face, dude, when he finds out, because he's trying to, like, similar to the enemy in the manga, he's grabbing Luffy while he's running off, and that's when he starts to stretch. But the look on Shanks' face, with the full context of everything that we know now, where he looks devastated. He looks so concerned. And he's staring at Luffy, and he just says, Luffy, what have you done? Like, what did you do?
What have you done?
Yeah, he's like, okay, let me try. Luffy, what have you done?
That was really good.
I don't know, dude.
Wow.
Cast me, dude.
Cast you as Shanks?
Recast.
Like already
no, that guy's
in
killing
the
it.
season. But again,
Never. But cast me as a background character, dude. You know what I'm saying?
You already are one.
I know there's a guy in the back that looks like me and you. So funny. But that moment, they fucking nailed it, dude. And like I said, it happens twice. They cut back to the past twice through those moments of conversation between Luffy and Kobe. Then we cut to Zoro. I believe is the first person we cut to outside of Luffy. And we get to see the fight between him and Baroque Works number 7, the original number 7.
The OG. We get to see that little fight. We get to see Zoro's, sassiness on full display.
Yes.
And again, the shot that whole scenery where he's at is so beautiful. And that interaction. I mean, it's setting up the whole season with Baroque. So that makes me very excited.
And he has some really cool lines of dialogue, and he's a little extra sassy too. Mm-hmm. They have an amazing fight, and then Mehgan Zoro just slashes Mr. 7.
Literally slashes him
right in half, and then puts the two halves of his body in like a bag.
And then carries it around. Yeah. Very, very dark.
Yeah.
And obviously we talked about we saw a scene. We already saw Nami's introduction at Anime Expo 2023 at the One Piece live action booth that they had, and we obviously loved it. Talked about it. Saw it again. Still amazing, still fun, still funny. And this is where we get to see all of them kind of come in one area at the bar. Zoro, Nami, and Luffy.
Right. So they're in Shellstown now with Kobe. And this is where things are a little different. Now we're in different territory because Nami's there too, right? Mm-hmm. But and again, the cat burglar side of her's on full display. It was in that previous scene that we talked about. And she's trying to get a map of the Grand Line. Zoro's trying to cash in this bounty. And Luffy is there to also get a map of the Grand Line. And Kobe's there because he wants to join the rings. So how it all kind of quickly plays out, we're going to try to go through it as quick as possible, is that this is where the rice ball incident sort of happens. There's a young girl in the bar who offers Zoro the rice balls. Helmeppo shows up, does the same thing, but it just happens in the bar. And Zoro picks it up and eats it. And that's where they have their first interaction, Helmeppo and Zoro. And
do you know who I am?
Again, the guy who's playing, and I have his name too, Aiden Scott is freaking, my man's is bringing it, dude. He's being so extra. He's got this like really spoiled, rich, snarky brat laugh that he always does. It's like, it's so good.
That was good, yeah.
And Zoro fucks him up, of course, even, and multiple Marines in the bar too.
Oh, yeah.
Without even drawing his sword.
Yeah.
He's literally just kind of like half pulling it out. The whole time, by the way, even with Baroque's number 7, Mr. 7, we don't see the third sword. So we get the setup there of Luffy saying like, where does the third sword go?
Where does it even go?
Yeah. Cut to, this leading to Helmeppo taking Zoro in and Nami It's so funny, dude. Nami ends up getting a Marine outfit, sneaking in, and Luffy and Kobe plan to sneak in. Kobe takes care of the ship. Luffy sneaks in under the sewers. That's when we see like an interaction between Axe-Hand Morgan and Zoro, and he's like, "I'd rather catch up on my sleep
by being 7 days in the yard instead of being
joining the Marines."
And Axe-Hand's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And obviously that's where we get to see him in the yard. And we get that interaction between Luffy and Zoro, the famous interaction of him tied up in the yard. Luffy comes out of the gate, and again, that scene was so perfect, so funny. There were changes, but it was great.
Yeah.
And then it just goes into him meeting Nami again.
This was a highlight moment for me too, though, because we really got to see Luffy here, and there's like so many like subtle jokes. Luffy is throughout the entire episode like constantly talking about food, of course, but also when Kobe's asking him like, how is he going to get this map, and Kobe doesn't really know Luffy all that well at this point, but Luffy just says like, I got it, dude, I'm stealthy. And us as like fans who know who Luffy is are like, no, you are the farthest thing from stealthy. So it was so funny. But we see Nami breaking in and being real smooth about it. And, she gets kind of like caught, but Luffy shows up to help her. And then Luffy's like, all right, let's just go get this map. It's in the main guy's like office, right? And so he just starts strolling down the hallways, like without a care in the world. And Nami's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just looking for the map. And he like walks in, he opens a door and just walks in, like not trying to hide behind pillars or anything.
No, yeah.
And it's just done so well. They run into Morgan. And, Nami had already run into him earlier and kind of played it off. But, this is the moment, actually.
This is the moment,
she plays it off.
She plays it off to Axe-Hand and convinces him that she just got transferred, yada, yada, yada. And this is when they kind of get away. And Axe-Hand finds his men on the floor and he's like, what's going on? And he's like, a woman with orange hair, like the pirates are invading.
Yeah.
And they all make it out to the yard.
But they're trying to break into a safe that this is really cool.
Oh,
too.
yeah, duh. Yeah.
The safe that has the sign of the world government on it. And they're like, like Nami's doing her cat burglar thing, trying to break into the safe. And Luffy's like using his, devil fruit ability and stretching to grab out this safe that's in the ground. And he does it, dude. But this is what I'm talking about, dude. This room and the scale of the room and all of Axe-Hand Morgan's like extra axe hands are like all on full display.
And we get to see like the contentious relationship between Axe-Hand and Helmeppo. It wasn't highlighted too much, but there was a moment of like backhand, Axe-Hand.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy. And Helmeppo took it and just went like, okay, yeah, for anything for you, Daddy. And again, like I feel like in the manga and the anime, it was really, really rough. But they just did a smack and then you kind of got the gist of their relationship.
Yes.
But it's fine. Like that was like the one thing that kind of like really got cut, because I remember in the anime and manga specifically being like, damn, like they did him dirty.
Yeah.
Like dirty.
But that's where they grab the safe, they fly out the window, land on the ground, crazy scene. And Luffy's already set Zoro free. He's trying to sneak off. Sees them all kind of fighting the Marines. He decides begrudgingly, kind of, right? Like he has this moment where he's like, oh man, dude, like I could just walk away right now. But Luffy's kind of charmed him a bit and intrigued him a bit. So he decides to like join the fight. Nami, by the way, already has a baton of some sort too. So she's whipping that thing around. Zoro. This is a moment we have to spend a little bit more time on. It's just the fight between Morgan, Axe-Hand Morgan, Zoro, and Luffy. And Nami's there putting in work too. But a lot of the focus, and this is kind of what I appreciate too, even with the inclusion of Nami in these events, a lot of the focus during this fight is on Zoro and Luffy. Because in the source material, like they're the two that are actually there.
Yes.
So they don't like take away from them by including Nami here. They still give them their moment. So their team up and how they fight and how Zoro finally takes out that sword, that third sword, puts it in his mouth, that epic moment. They give it a whole moment, as they should. And then they say, I'll go high, you go low. The gum whip, the whole fight, the choreography, the special effects, absolutely insane, stunning. This is like the battle. This is like a really awesome moment in the episode. they're able. And Kuro, he mentions Kuro to Accent Morgan mentions like,
Yes.
you know who I am. You know, I took in, captured, Captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates and all this. Just like, again, these moments of dialogue making it feel so much more like fleshed out, lived in, such a big world. Perfect. So well done. After the fight and everything has been resolved, that's when they take the safe back. This is the moment I was talking about where they, again, like it's kind of subtle, where they show like how strong Zoro really is.
Yeah, love that.
Speaking specifically about the choreography too, when he's using the blades, the force of which he is using these blades, they really are able to capture that. Like he is like, when he is swinging them things, he is swinging them things. It's like, damn. But like, they're like, how are we gonna get this big ass safe back to the ship? There's no way. And Mehgan Zoro's just like, I got it. Like very calm, like throws it over his back and like just lugs it to the ship. Crazy moment. Like really, really, really shows you how strong this man is. And he mentions, of course, wanted to be the greatest swordsman. Perfect.
Someone long time ago. Yeah. It was really, really good. And obviously knowing the context of like what's to come, especially with Nami's character, and what entails with that and Arlong and everything, it's gonna be insane.
Oh, and because this fight was so crazy, we're kind of jumping all around, but when Zoro does decide to join, he's got to go get his swords back, because Helmeppo does do the thing where he takes his swords and plays with his swords in front of him, and Zoro's like, stop, dude.
He's like, you're gonna be begging when I get out. Like, you're gonna be done. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna wreck you. And he's like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah. He has to go get them. And Mehgan, you talk about this scene, which is a bonus scene, but very, again, true to Helmeppo's character. Maybe you want to talk about it, because
why?
Can I just say this? Helmeppo was looking too damn good, bro. This man was jacked.
No, he was jacked. He was jacked, and we saw some ass.
They do a good job of hiding it in that little like loose, like not fitted suit.
Yeah. He was jacked, and we saw ass, full ass.
So this man, Helmeppo, is posing in front of a mirror. He's got his long, luscious hair still, in front of a mirror, butt ass naked with Zoro's swords.
Yeah.
Butt ass naked.
He's like swinging the swords in his arms, and then like swinging something else.
Swinging something else. He had 4 swords. Swinging it around. Zoro comes in like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, for real. It smells wild in here.
Helmeppo's like covering his dick up. It's crazy. And he's like, I'm gonna I forget exactly how he says it, but this is the moment where
I'm gonna make you. I don't think he says gay on.
He's like, "What do you? Don't kill me." And he's like, "No, I'm gonna do something worse."
Worse, yeah.
And he cuts. This is where he cuts his hair. We don't get to see it, but we'll see it later, because they're escaping. They go back to the ship. Mm-hmm. This is where Kobe has his farewell, which is another moment they get a lot of time to.
Yeah.
And Kobe's conflicted throughout the episode, and that's also handled so well, because he's looking at what he was there in the bar and he saw what happened, what Helmeppo and the other Marines did. And he's like, "We're supposed to be helping." And this is where Luffy says, like, there are good pirates and bad pirates. There are good Marines. There are bad Marines. You're a good one. And again, it's just done so well. The goodbye is given the time.
And even Luffy just, because he knows his dream. Luffy just goes, you know what? Okay. Yeah. Like, you do you. Like, I'm not going to, like, force you or, like, just beg you to be on my ship. Like, if you do you, because I know that's what you want to do. And I respect that. And yeah.
And he says, I can't remember. I think it might have been Kobe who said it, but one of them says, like, when
Kobe.
we meet again, we'll probably be enemies, but I just want to thank you for everything. And their relationship, man.
I know.
This is the heart of the show, dude.
I know.
And they got it.
I know.
They got
it. It just made me so like reminiscent of that time in the manga too, of them just bouncing around.
Yeah.
In those couple chapters. And that's where, that's where the crew takes off. Yeah. That's where they have that little, a sibling spat between Nami and Zoro. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of sail away.
And as they sail away, we cut to, so there's a couple interesting things to note too. So in that same bar, the bar scene is where it all pops off, dude. Okay. Because everybody was there, and a person that we failed to mention was Kabaji. That's right. Baji from the Buggy Pirates is there.
And again, the hair, the clothing, like, it was
perfect. They it's ripped from the panels of the manga, panels in the pages, and the anime. It's absolutely perfect. And the same thing with X-Hand Morgan. Dude, he had the print on his pants. Dude.
Big boy too.
Big guy. But yeah, Kabaji was in the bar, and he was also trying to get a map of the Grand Line. We find out later. So it cuts before it cuts to that. It cuts to Garp, right? So, going chronologically, it cuts to Garp's ship, and we see the interior of Garp's ship, and he's standing there with Bogard, and he has his
Den Mushi,
which we do and can confirm goes off at the end of the episode and sounds exactly like you would hope it sounds. It sounds a little bit more like, it sounds like better. Kind of like,
okay.
It was a little slower,
sure.
a little deeper, live action. Live action. But yeah, and they're giving him a report about a map that was stolen from Axan Morgan's marine base from Shellstown.
From a pirate.
By a pirate.
With a straw hat. Dun, dun, dun.
And this is, the way it's played is so sick because we don't get the reveal here at all that, first of all, like, Garp is Luffy's grandfather.
I have a feeling we're going to get at the end of the first season, and that'll be like a bomb drop, and then it'll go into the next season.
But it's played so well because Garp's like, we got to go. And Bogard's like, why? Like, we're in the middle of hunting down the Baroque works. And Garp says something to the effect of, like, that's not priority right now. Those are shadows that we'll be following forever, or something like that, or for a much longer time. Right now, we have to.
This is priority. And he said, and the camera kind of zooms in on him. He's like, a map of the Grand Line was stolen by a pirate with a straw hat. And, he cares, and you know why he cares, but they don't say it. So I think it's done so well. Because you think like, oh yeah, this is going to be, there's, in One Piece in general, there's always the pirate threat and the marine threat. Mm-hmm. So they're playing to that heavy here because right after Garp, we get to see our boy
Kabaji reporting to Buggy.
Ooh, my man looks so fucking good. Holy shit, he was sitting in his little chair.
Doing the pose. He was doing the pose. And dude,
the crowd went fucking wild.
The crowd lost their fucking mind, dude. They lost their mind. Me included, dude. I was like, damn. I can't be. It's a crime to be bricked up around so many people.
Stop. For real. For real.
We'll get kicked out. But he looked incredible. We got to hear more of how he was going to perform this character.
Yeah, he sounded exactly like the Joker. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
joking. That's a worry, right? I mean, I would imagine there's some people that are like, oh, how is he going to do it? And he's bringing something like, this is, again, what I love about his performance. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's something like a little flamboyant about like how he was portraying Buggy.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Buggy's flamboyant.
Exactly. Yeah. It's perfect. He's theatrical. It's like, it's flamboyant. It's theatrical.
Yes. His voice, I mean, in the anime too, it's very crazy. Screaming and yelling, and he can be scary, but he can be silly and goofy and a joke. Yeah. So I think this actor is going to play it very well.
Yeah.
And we get to see again those visuals of we see his bounty, and it comes up on the screen, and then he kind of like shoos it away.
Which is another thing that I forgot to mention, that every time you see Alvida, every time you see Buggy, every time you see a pirate, their bounty poster floats on the screen, and they all like interact with it in different ways. And the way Buggy's is done is so menacing because it flies on the screen. You see his bounty, you see all of it, and then he just kind of swats it away. And it's just so awesome. Every time you're introduced to a character, a pirate, you get that. And oh my God.
Just like in the manga.
What a nice touch. I know.
And in the anime, we get a little description of the character. And in the live action, it's going to be their wanted posters. Yeah. And again,
you can see how much they're worth, and like, oh, that's so cool.
It's amazing.
And you nailed it, right? Because that is so true of One Piece. There's two threats, the Marines and the pirates, and they show that so well.
And they set it up for the next episode. Like episode 1 like hooks you on like, they're going to have these people after them and these people. Like, how are they going to do anything?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people coming for their heads.
And they're still far from being a crew, right? They still have a lot. Like, at this point, and that's another moment that Emily Rudd sold so well in the building when they were getting the map, was when Luffy asked her, he's like, the way he does it is so perfect. He's like, oh, yeah, you're a pretty good fighter. You should join my crew. And she's like, she like throws him against the wall. And she's like, I fucking hate. She doesn't say that. She's like, I hate pirates. I will never, ever, under any circumstances, join a pirate crew, especially not yours. Forget about it. You know.
And Luffy's like, we'll see about that.
Yeah, he's like, well, you just don't, because she's like, I hate pirates, and he says something to the effect of like, well, you don't know me or something.
Yeah. You just never met me or something.
Yeah.
And again, I even it's so exciting because Nami, like, in general, is such a good character, and what's going to happen in season 1, like, is going to be so good.
Emotional.
And even for like first time watchers, I mean, the betrayal.
Yeah.
It's going to be real. I remember reading it and being like,
yeah.
What? No, this can't be. There's no way.
Yeah.
And I like the stakes that it's going to add. Obviously, it's in the story, but I'm just gushing over Nami.
Everybody, man.
Yeah, everyone came and they slayed. They slayed the house down. They slayed the doors down. They slayed the pirate ship down.
At the very end, too, we get that Buggy scene, right? Cuts to Buggy. It ends sort of on Buggy's laugh and them also pursuing Nami, Zoro, and Luffy. But at the very end of all of that, and I know that the episodes are all going to drop at once, so it doesn't really matter. But we got to see, because it's still going to be a couple of days, almost a week before we get to see it. We got to see that, like, this season on One Piece, right?
Live action.
So we got to see a bunch of new shit. We got to see, like, Kuro, like, actually see him, and his wanted poster, and Django's wanted poster were there too. I'm sure they're all over Twitter now.
Yeah.
But we'll include them.
We got to see more Sanji.
More Sanji. Just like we got to see so many cool moments and everything that is going to come.
I just want to hear
for
already.
A freaking treat.
I want to hear already. I want to go to season.
We're eating too
already.
good, dude.
It was so good, you guys. Like, we're not even like hyping it. Like,
no,
it's like we're not being. I'm not being fake at all. Like, for real. Like, this shit was immaculate. Like, it was perfect. It was so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish, because we watched the first. I wish I had it so I could just show everyone already.
Yes.
It feels so personal. And it feels...
Well, it's just so close to, your heart, my heart, all of our hearts as One Piece fans.
And I just, like, want to thank everyone involved. Like, thank you, Matt Owens. Thank you, Iñaki.
The whole cast, the whole crew, man.
Yeah, you guys, like... you guys did it.
Of course. And of course, this wouldn't be anything at all if it weren't for Goda himself.
Oda Sensei. Like,
yeah.
It's just so magical, and I cannot wait for you guys to see it. I can't wait. I cannot wait for you to feel how I'm feeling right now. And I know there's people probably maybe watching this, maybe not, who were there. We got to meet some listeners, which was awesome. But yeah, just tell us your thoughts, what you thought about it if you have watched it.
Look, I mean, this is not just from me and Mehgan either. Like Mehgan was saying, like we talked to people there, and a lot of other people who we talked to like really enjoyed everything that they saw. We don't usually rate things, but if I had to rate this first episode, I would say it is a genuine 10 out of 10. It was so amazing, so incredible. And that's not just from us. Everybody was feeling that, man. Everybody, walking around, eavesdropping on conversations as we were walking back. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, this, oh my God, that, this, that. They, you could see this, this moment was so high. This moment was so crazy. Like the love, the respect. I mean, it's just, it just is everything. This is, I'm not here to talk about curses and whether it's breaking curses or not. Because this is something that has, in my opinion, never been done like this before.
No,
like this is something fresh. Mm-hmm. This is something new in the sea of like, all the things that we've been getting lately. No shade to any of that stuff. I'm a fan of that stuff too, but it feels like we've been getting a lot of the same thing for a long time. And this is fresh and this is new and this is ambitious and this is everything, dude. And I think fan or new viewer, you're going to fall in love and you're going to love every moment just like we did. And if you have things that you have problems with or little nitpicks with, that's fine too. Like, let us know those things too. Any questions that you guys have that we didn't get the chance to answer, let us know those as well. And we'll try our best. We can't get to everybody obviously, but we'll try to do our best. So if you have a question about a character, a moment, let us know, fire it off. Mehgan, is there anything else you want to say spoiler related about?
I think we pretty much covered everything. And yeah, exactly what you said. It's just this is going to change everything when it comes to anime, live actions in general, and honestly just like introducing this story to so many people who have yet to experience it is so special and so amazing. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. I really just want to see episode 2. I want
I
to
know. I
see
want
the
to
whole
see
thing
all of
already.
it. All of it. This is,
But
like you said, Megan, going to absolutely be a game changer. Mark our words. Everybody's going to be wanting to do a live action anime adaptations after this.
for sure.
But that's going to do it for our spoiler discussion on the episode. Now we will move on to the event itself. We're going to talk about this like super, super briefly. If you want to hear us talk more about it, we go live every Wednesday. We call it our community live show, where we, interact with our community. They can post things in the community live section of our Discord for us to react to. So we'll talk about it super briefly here, but we'll talk about it extensively, show more photos, show more like behind the scenes footage, whatever footage that we took while we were there. We'll show it more extensively, talk about it more extensively on Wednesday. So another reason to subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff, so you're notified when we do go live. But the event itself, I feel like Netflix put their whole you-know-what into this event.
Oh my God. It was such a special event. I could just, we go to conventions a lot, and we frequent those pretty frequently over the span of a year. We go to maybe like 3 or 4 sometimes a year. Always want to go to more, but it just had that like energy from everyone. You just felt everyone's energy was just buzzing. And we went in cosplay.
Genzo, what's good?
Genzo,
and you were
Nojiko, and it was so special just hearing people like, oh my God, everyone's love for the show and everyone's love for One Piece in general was there. So many cool things that we were able to do. We got a picture with the Mary. Where there was a mini bratier that was a bar. All the staff was dressed like Marines, so it was just fun to see. Even you would get upset at watching the live action people walking back and forth. But they were dressed like Marines. I felt like I was freaking in the One Piece world, bitch.
Really
like it was amazing, and seeing them walk around, and there was a huge poster that Otis signed himself that everyone can sign next to. There was a photo booth. You could take wanted pictures, have your own wanted picture with a bounty. And the cosplayers were on full display. Everyone was so happy, thrilled.
And they were giving out like free ice cream and free water, and I was like, damn, Netflix, like this is like a crazy event. Like it was so well put together.
Yeah.
And of course the grand finale, we can't forget the drone show at the very end. I've never seen anything like that in my entire freaking life, dude. It was magical. In a crowd, a sea of people looking up and seeing these drones all coordinated and choreographed flying around, showing images that were like 3D and moving, like the Sea Beast, the Mary, Luffy, Straw Hats, like all while like music was playing in the background. I was getting emotional.
It was very emotional. I've never seen anything like it. You see fireworks shows and shows even at like Disneyland. They have like crazy fireworks shows. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I saw literally today, I think One Piece Netflix, their account had a drone shot of the drone shot. So it was it was showing all of Santa Monica Pier, not just where we were, but the whole beach, and it was just magical. It was so magical. It really felt the event was like a once in a lifetime event. I'm never gonna forget it. I'm never gonna forget it. And it was, like Anderson .Paak came out, and DJ'd and like sang and played the drums. Like it was absolutely bonkers, and everyone there was so nice and friendly. And we got to talk to people about One Piece, and it was just so amazing.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
It was absolutely incredible to get to experience the first episode that way in a sea of other fans that were just excited as we were. Like Megan said, it is something that will live with me forever. This is why One Piece is such an incredible series, yes. Story, yes. But the fandom, the fan base, like all of us, like the Nakama, the love, like, I don't know, man. Like it's unparalleled, dude. Like, I mean, it just felt like like we were all, kindred spirits. We were all family. We were all nakama, dude. Yeah, we were all there. Like the energy was immaculate. And it was really well put together, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they did not skimp on like any detail. Even the sound, we talked about like not really being able to hear the soundtrack and everything, but for like how we were watching it outdoors, like it was really, and for how many people were there cheering. I mean, we could hear everything, see everything. Like, I mean, it was an incredible experience, man. And this is just a testament to how special One Piece is. And we'll talk more about it, like I said, on our community live on Wednesday. But for the sake of keeping this video, I think we already ran a little bit longer than we were initially planning, but so much to talk about. We'll end it here. Mehgan, is there anything else you want to say at all? All right. Well, that's going to do it for our reaction / I guess a review of the first episode of the One Piece live action adaptation. We're in for a treat. This is going to be a game changer. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, subscribe if you're not subscribed. We're going to be reacting to everything, so you can see it on our channel as well, and the full uncut, unedited version of that on our Patreon, patreon.com/volume1pod, or become a YouTube member by clicking join somewhere next to the subscribe button, all linked in the description below. And again, leave your comments, any questions that you want us to answer. We'll try our best. Or just how excited you are for this series. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes, which today, Mehgan, is
let's set sail.
The marketing, right? They're going, the pirates are coming. That's what they're going for. I mean, it's like Usopp and Straw Village, like the pirates are gonna, you don't like that. I trust you.
No, okay. Do you have anything better?
I never do. Not once. Let's set sail. I like it. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for any and all ways you show your support. It's almost here. We don't have to wait much longer. But until next time, let's set sail. Go.
I'm Luffy.
Go.
And I'm going to be king of the pirates.
Hey, Yaki, did we get a Yaki in the studio?
That's right. I'm Luffy.
It's actually really good.